I matched with someone recently. The conversation was good. I mean, actually good. The kind where we were both engaged and asking questions instead of one person dragging the other along the whole way. We went back and forth for 3 days. I was interested. It felt like it was going somewhere. And then she sends me a message saying, well, my time in Chicago has come to an end. I wish we could have met up. What? Not moving or visiting, leaving, as in she never actually lived here. She was in town temporarily, and the whole time we were talking, 3 full days of genuine back and forth, she knew she was about to be gone and said nothing about it. No mention in her profile that she wasn't local. She only had her current location visible. No mention in the conversation that her time was limited, just 2 days of creating something that was never going to go anywhere because she was already on her way out and decided that that was information I didn't need to have. I wasn't exactly angry, well, maybe for a minute, but I've been doing this long enough that nothing shocks me. Look, long distance is impossible, but I would talk to somebody who lives somewhere else if it was established up front and we both knew what we were working with. Instead, she chose not to tell me for 3 days, well knowing the whole time. That's not an accident or an oversight, that's a decision. Here's the thing about what just happened. On a dating app, there's zero accountability for making that increasingly common choice. She didn't lose anything by wasting 3 days of my time because she knew it all along. There was no consequence, no system that flags her profile, no record anywhere that she did this. She just moves on to the next match and does the same thing to someone else if she feels like it. And I move on too, because what else is there to do? The apps are built on self-reported information, no verification or accountability. You say you live in Chicago, the app doesn't check. You say your age is 38, sounds right. You say you're looking for something serious, fine by us. You post photos from 5 years ago, hey, good for you. The entire app runs on the honor system. And here's what happens when you build an app that relies on the honesty of its members, with no means of enforcement or consequence for breaking it. People break it. Just ask anyone living in the city of Chicago how well the system works. Not everybody breaks it, but after a year of this, enough people do that you start to automatically factor it in. You assume the location might be wrong, the age might be off, the stated intentions might not match their actual behavior, and you assume something is probably not quite what it appears to be, because from my experience, the app doesn't protect you from any of it. That's a shitty way to approach finding a connection with somebody, but it's also just accurate. Don't forget, the apps didn't start like this. The original promise of dating apps, and the thing that made them exciting when they first launched, was essentially a digital matchmaking service, an algorithm that would learn who you are, understand what you're looking for, and give you compatible matches from a pool of people you'd never encounter in your daily life. That was the pitch. Sophisticated technology does the work of finding compatible people so you don't have to wade through everyone who isn't right for you. And in the early days, they were closer to it, at least. It seemed the algorithm actually tried to match you with people well. But at some point, something changed. You could say everything changed. They became solely focused on profit. Here's the business model problem with actually matching people well. If the app successfully matches you with someone, you form a relationship, and then you leave. The app loses a customer. You're gone. You're happy, and you're not spending money anymore. The app makes money when you're on it, and I know we talked about this before in past episodes, but the app stops making money when you find someone and leave. So think about what that means for how the algorithm now works. The incentive is never to match you so well that you find what you're looking for and disappear. The incentive is to match you just well enough to keep you hopeful, to give you the occasional glimpse of something that might be promising, but to keep you swiping and engaged in the end, to keep you paying for premium features that promise better matches. Well, the underlying business model depends on those better matches never quite materializing. Sprinkle in a few compatible people to keep you believing it might work. Surround them with people on the fringe who aren't really right for you. Keep you in the system indefinitely. That's just what happens when a business model is built on engagement rather than outcomes. And it's the exact opposite of how a real matchmaking service works. A matchmaking service has a completely different incentive structure. Their business model is built on successful matches. Their reputation depends on it. A matchmaker who never actually matches anyone doesn't stay in business. The financial incentive and the stated goal are aligned rather than working against each other. I was approached by one recently, a legitimate Chicago matchmaking service that wanted to bring me on as a candidate. Not as a paying client. The women typically pay for the service and the men get approached and vetted separately. It's a fundamentally different model. And what immediately struck me was the accountability built into every part of it. The matchmaker knows who you are. She's met you. She's made a personal judgment about whether you're worth introducing to her clients. After all, she has her reputation on the line every time she makes a match. You can't hide your location in a matchmaking service. You can't post photos from decades ago. You can't misrepresent your intentions because a real human being has already had a real conversation with you and formed a real opinion about who you actually are. The information is as accurate as it can get, because someone with a professional stake in the outcome verified it. That's the entire problem with the app, solved in one structural change. Same stated goal, completely opposite financial incentives, completely different outcomes. But the problem with matchmaking services is they're expensive. I mean, not slightly expensive, significantly expensive. The good ones charge thousands of dollars for access to their network, which makes sense when you think about what you're actually paying for: a human being's time and expertise and professional judgment and a network of vetted candidates. That's not free. That's not even close to cheap. And the price point immediately eliminates most people. So you end up with this situation where the apps are free and chaotic and full of location deception and AI-generated photos and fake ages and people who have no intention of ever actually meeting anyone. And matchmaking is expensive, limited, and inaccessible to most people who would benefit from it. And in the middle, there's, well, nothing. No option that combines the scale and accessibility of the apps with the accountability and verification of real matchmaking service. No system where you can reach a large pool of potential matches and also trust that the basic information that you're getting is accurate. No model where the financial incentive actually aligns with helping you find someone rather than keeping you searching indefinitely. That gap is where most people are stuck right now. Too burned out on the apps to keep going through the motions, and too priced out of the alternatives to access something better. Just sort of grinding through the same unaccountable system that was corrupted by its own business model somewhere along the way, hoping the next match is the one that doesn't waste 2 days of their time with information they had the whole time and chose not to share it. That's where we are. And it's not a coincidence that people are starting to look for something else. The apps were supposed to be digital matchmaking. They became something else entirely because that's what the business model demanded of it. Matchmaking services offer what the apps abandon, but they're out of reach for most people financially. The question that's starting to get interesting is whether anyone can build something in between, something with the reach of an app and the accountability of a matchmaker, something where the financial incentive is actually aligned with the outcome people are paying for. I've been talking to someone who's trying to do exactly that. I'll have more on that in an episode soon, in an interview with that person. But in the meantime, if you're on the apps and you're exhausted and you keep asking yourself whether there's another way, the answer is that people are working on it. And the fact that they're working on it tells you that enough people have had enough 2-day conversations with someone who knew they were leaving the whole time. And someone decided that finally the gap was worth trying to fill.